guys, welcome back to my channel. So today starts our Halloween series, and I thought what better way to kind of kick it off than this really gorgeous owl sconce mold that I found. I absolutely love all the detail in it, and I love owls. They remind me of my grandmother. She had them, like, her entire kitchen was just completely full of owls, different owls on plates and calendars, and it was like all things owl. And it just, when I saw this piece, I had to have it, kind of like for my grandmother, I guess. Anyway, so my thought process with this is, with all the detail in here, yeah, I could go about it several different ways. I can just pour the resin and do the detail after it's cured. But I think I want to dust it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take that gorgeous brown and I'm hitting all the low spots on it. The main piece of the owl. And then after I get all of the main body of the owl done, I'm just going to take a baby wipe and I'm going to wipe off all of the raised up parts and just get that excess dust off. Um, and then I will get a cotton bud and I will clean off all like the smaller spots so that I'm not wiping it off of the bottom and have to redo it again. The reason, like, you could very easily, if you wanted to do all the detail first, you could very easily do it that way and then do the bottom part of it. But I feel like for this, it's just going to be easier to do the bottom first because then I don't have to clean the bottom off and try and get into like those stars on there. There's so much like where the points come, like not the points on the outside but like in the inside of the star at the bottom. Like it would be really difficult to clean out each one of those little pieces from whatever color I put on top after the fact. So it's easier this way because once I put the mica powder down, once that brown is down, nothing else is going to stick to that. um and then I can just go ahead and I can apply my other colors. So the way that I'm gonna do the other colors is actually a trick I learned off of watching Wendy over at Toonpish Crafts. Um, she did a video where she had a very intricate little mold, and what she did was she took the mica powder and some isopropyl alcohol, dipped her brush in the alcohol into the mica powder, and then kind of made a paste with it and then painted it into those little details. So I thought, well, that would be perfect for this because there are so many tiny little things and I don't want to have to deal with the mess of mica going all over the place. It'll be perfect for this. So that's what we're going to do. And if you guys haven't watched Wendy, you guys should really check her out. She's got some amazing videos. She's really awesome. Sweet lady. Anyway, so what I'm doing now is I'm starting with the yellow. And I've got my mica powder in one. I've got one little container that has some isopropyl alcohol in it, and one that has it like as I'm mixing it into a paste. Now, if you're going to do it this way, one of the things that you need to know is that the alcohol dissolves very quickly. And the first time that I tried this, I kind of thought that it would just, like, you were just going to paint it on and it would kind of just dry as like a liquid paint would dry. It does not. It actually, once the alcohol evaporates, it turns back into powder form. I didn't know this the first time that I did it. And when I was cleaning it off or whatever, I didn't realize that it would come off as easily as it did. It does, doing it this way. But it allows you to get all of these details done without the mica powder flying everywhere, with using a way more precision. So it is definitely, if you haven't tried it this way, I definitely recommend trying it this way. Again, I learned this from Wendy over at Toonpish Crafts. So now I'm going in with the black, and I don't know if it's the mica powder I have or if it's just all micas are like this, but for whatever reason, when I paint on with, like, when I dust my molds with mica, with black mica powder, or I'm doing it this way, it always looks gray. Like, it never truly looks black. It will look more so black when I, like, am actually mixing it into the resin, but not here. So, right now I'm just doing the eyes, and then I'm gonna go and I'm going to go over. I decided that I need a little bit more orange, so I put the orange in the eyebrows just to kind of tie in with the nose and whatever. I will do the little ears, and then that's it. We're done with this part. It actually doesn't take as long, and there's way less cleanup doing it this way. Again, when you do your alcohol, little bits at a time because of how fast it will evaporate. Um, so now, because I want it to remain dark, I want it to be like, I want all the colors to kind of be darker. I don't necessarily want bright colors. At least in my head, that's what I wanted. The outcome is completely different. So I'm going to darken up my brown mica a little bit with some black pigment paste. Just mixing that in, and then we're going to pour it. Now, the issue with this mold is if you look at the eyes and all those teeny tiny little spots, the eyes up by the ears and the wings, they are tiny little spots. And they are the perfect spot for bubbles. Problem being, now that it's painted with the mica, you can't go in there with a dotting tool or your silicone tool or whatever to kind of get that resin to go in there the right way. I mean, I put it on a little bit here, and you can kind of see me, like, focusing mainly on those parts, and then I'm tapping it and kind of just flipping it up a little bit and letting it hit to try and encourage the resin to go into there. Maybe if I have a thinner resin, it'll flow a little bit more easily. I don't know. But I did end up with a lot of air bubbles around the eyes, which was so disappointing. Now here we are 24 hours later, and it is time to demold. Um, so the big part, because I wasn't really sure how this thing was going to get put together. So the big piece is obviously where your tea light candle is going to go. The little part is what is going to kind of set up and hold that, the bigger part where the tea light candle goes, and then obviously the main part of it. Um, so here it is. I'm like super excited about seeing this, and then I look at it, and I am absolutely heartbroken. Like, I couldn't be more heartbroken. It is so dull. It is so ugly. I I was honestly about ready just to throw it all away. I was like, all right, well, this video is not happening, at least not with this piece. And I mean, just look at it. It's terrible. The eyes, there are so many air bubbles there. Like, all it's they're everywhere. It's terrible. Like, it is so terrible. So I set it off to the side, probably for a good 2 weeks, trying to decide what to do with it. And then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna try something else. I don't want to waste all this resin. Resin's not cheap. Colorants aren't cheap. So screw it. Let's try it. See if it works. I mean, if it doesn't, all right, I'm wasting some glitter. I'm wasting some of my varnish and, time, but maybe it'll work. So, what I'm doing is, like you've seen me do in other videos, I got some glitter. I got my Duraclear, or Deco Duraclear, gloss varnish, and made kind of like a paste out of it, and I'm going to put it over all the parts that I absolutely hate and cover them up, um to see if it makes it look any better. Now, again, when you are working with the gloss varnish, it does come out kind of like a milky cloudy color. It dries absolutely clear, so all you will see is the glitter that I'm applying once it dries. um Also, it, like, I'm working in little bits at a time because, one, look how ugly that is. It's so sad. But one, is it doesn't take very long for it to dry. It dries fairly quickly. And I don't want to waste a lot because the stuff isn't necessarily super cheap either. It goes a long way unless you're wasting it. So I only want to do it little bits at a time, and then I can just make more because you can always add more, but you can never take away. So once I've poured the glitter and I've poured the Duraclear in there, it's done. If I don't use it all, that's it. I've wasted it all, and I don't want to do that. It will start to thicken up kind of, and if you're still working with it, you can just add a couple drops more at a time to thin it back out again to make it so that it's easier for you to use. Otherwise, it does become kind of thick like a paste before it dries. So I'm just going in now with a toothpick and hitting all of those little areas in the ears, kind of pushing the glitter up there to cover that ugliness underneath. And then just I'm done. That's it. The ears are done. Now I'm gonna go over where I have put the purple mica powder in underneath. This is like a kind of like a party blend. It's got several different colors in it, kind of blues and purples. So I figured it looked good for both parts. Um, Making a little bit more because, again, I'm only doing it in small batches at a time so that I'm not wasting. So the other thing that I want to mention is when you're working with this. So when you paint, when you're dusting your mold with mica, even if it's a shiny mold, it's going to make it more matte. So right now my piece is matte. It's not shiny at all. Um, the gloss varnish, if you get it onto somewhere that you don't want it to be, like if I get it onto the brown and I'm not doing anything with the main body of the brown, it will gloss up in those areas and leave streaks of glossiness where you may not necessarily want it. So while you're working with it, you still need to be careful because even though it dries clear, it dries a glossy clear, not a matte clear. Um, so like in this instance, because I painted it with the mica, it is matte. If I get it onto the brown, those spots on the brown will become glossy, and then it's going to look horrible for that reason too. At this point, while I finish going over and adding all of the glitter detail, I'm just gonna put on some music so you guys can just sit back, kind of chillax, and watch the transformation. we're back. Isn't that amazing? I mean, look at the difference. Like, it looks like a completely different piece. It doesn't even look like the same piece anymore. And I'll have side-by-side photos of the before and after here in a little bit. So right now what I'm doing is, even though it's the varnish dries on the glitter and it's pretty much stuck in there, I don't want to take any chances of any of that coming off, in just day-to-day life or whatever. So I'm going to top coat it, which now will make my brown glossy, and the whole piece will be more cohesive. Now, the issue that I'm anticipating and why I am just doing a very, very, very small top coat is because I have those pieces that I have to fit into the bottom for where the candle's going to be held. I don't want to make it too thick or have it run over in that little hole to where now I'm going to have an issue and I'm going to have to sand or whatever to try and make those pieces fit, because it's already a pretty tight fit. I don't want to do anything that's going to screw that up. So I am using just a little bit of resin. Obviously, you want to use enough that it's not going to, as it dries and pulls in, that it's not going to pull away from the sides. But you don't want a lot either. So I'm just going to go through, cover it all up, let it dry the 24 hours, and then watch. Just watch the side by side. Like, it's incredible. It really, truly is. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like glitter, and there are other ways that you can fix a project up to make it so that you don't have to trash it. Like this, I proudly have hanging on my wall right now, and I am perfectly okay with it. Before, I was embarrassed. Like, I didn't even want to show my husband that piece. And I mean, he's seen, all my pieces from the beginning to where, they were some rough pieces when I first started, but I was so embarrassed about how this turned out that I didn't even want to show him. Here we are. This is after it's dried. Look how pretty that is. Like, that is so freaking cute. I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, I do have to say real quick in closing, that remember, we are dealing with resin here. This is not safe for actual real life candles, guys. Use the LED tea light candles. We don't want to put fire near